Power moves in silence. This is the first law of the universe, revealed only to those who truly listen. The moment you stop announcing your desires, they begin to take root in unseen realms, gathering strength beyond doubt. Stay with this, and you will feel it. The quiet force shaping your destiny from within. The first law of the universe. Introduction. The power you wield through your inner state remains one of the most sacred mysteries passed down through ages. Like a seed germinating beneath soil, transformation requires darkness and silence to take root. When you share your visions prematurely, you scatter precious energy that could have nourished their growth. The universe speaks in whispers, teaching through subtle signs and synchronicities. It reveals its wisdom, not to those who demand proof, but to those who listen with patience and reverence. Your role is not to convince others, but to tend the garden of your consciousness with unwavering deviance. When you maintain sacred silence around your deepest intentions, you create a protected space where manifestation can unfold naturally. This is not about secrecy born of fear, but of wisdom. Understanding that each vision needs time to mature before facing the world's gaze. Like a master artist who works in solitude until the painting is complete, you must learn to nurture your creations in the quiet of your heart. The ancient ones knew this truth. Power accumulates in stillness. When you resist the urge to speak of your dreams prematurely, you preserve the pure frequency of your desire. You allow the universe to work unhindered by others' doubts or limiting beliefs. Their skepticism cannot entangle what remains unspoken. Let your manifestations speak for themselves when they emerge fully formed. Until then, commune silently with the infinite intelligence within. Trust that the universe recognizes your intentions not by your words, but by the unwavering clarity of your inner knowing. The greatest mysteries reveal themselves to those who understand. True power moves in silence. Before we get into the book, comment "I am ready" to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Birth of Knowing. Chapter 1. The Whisper of Origin. Long ago, in a bustling coastal town, Celia May Goodwin experienced a moment of pure clarity. As she walked along the shore at dawn, understanding washed over her like the tide. Her thoughts shaped the fabric of her reality. The revelation felt electric, awakening every cell in her body. Unable to contain her excitement, she rushed from house to house, sharing her discovery with anyone who would listen. She spoke to merchants in the marketplace, travelers at the inn, and friends at their doorsteps. But with each retelling, the pristine truth began to dim. Some smiled politely, others dismissed her words, and a few even mocked her enthusiasm. By sunset, the once brilliant insight had faded to a mere shadow of its original power. In the same town lived Emery Clyde Swafford, a quiet craftsman who worked with wood. One morning, while sanding a piece of cedar, he too glimpsed the sacred connection between thought and manifestation. But unlike Celia, he held this knowledge close, letting it settle deep within his being. As days passed, Emery noticed subtle changes in his workshop. Tools appeared exactly when needed. Customers arrived at precisely the right moments, and his creations took on an almost magical quality. He never spoke of these changes, yet his life transformed steadily, like a tree growing in perfect silence. The universal law whispers this truth. Creation responds not to proclamation, but to inner certainty. When you encounter wisdom that stirs your soul, treat it as you would a precious flame in the wind. Shield it, nurture it, allow it to grow strong within the sanctuary of your heart. The urge to share may feel overwhelming, but remember, true power ripens in silence. Sacred knowledge asks first for reverence, not voice. By keeping your revelations protected, you demonstrate trust in their unfolding. This is not about hiding truth, but about honoring its natural progression from seed to flower. Ancient practice. When inspiration illuminates your path, pause. Draw 3 slow breaths, allowing each to carry your gratitude deeper within. Let the wisdom settle into your bones before it reaches your lips. In this sacred silence, feel the energy of your insight crystallizing, growing stronger with each moment it remains unspoken. This quiet acknowledgement creates a vessel for manifestation, turning revelation into reality through the power of protected presence. Chapter 2. The Quiet Garden. In the ancient markets of a distant city, a woman named Pearl Ruth Ellington discovered a weathered scroll containing meditation techniques. Her heart leaped at the wisdom within its weathered edges, instructions for finding inner peace through the art of stillness. After a single session of practice, she felt a flickering of tranquility and rushed into the streets, gathering crowds to share her newfound knowledge. "I have found the path to peace," she proclaimed, attempting to guide others through techniques she had barely begun to understand. But her own mind remained turbulent, her emotions unsteady. Those who followed her guidance found their practice as unstable as hers, for she offered fruit from a tree whose roots had yet to take hold. In the same city lived Clarence Boyd Newkirk, a quiet merchant who discovered similar teachings. Unlike Pearl, he understood that wisdom, like a delicate seedling, requires protection in its early stages. Each morning before dawn, he sat in silence, tending to his inner garden. Months passed as he nurtured his practice, allowing the roots of peace to grow deep within his being. He spoke of his meditation to no one, yet people began to notice a change. His presence brought calm to heated negotiations. His smile carried the weight of genuine serenity. Without uttering a word about inner peace, he emanated it. Customers lingered in his shop, not for his wares, but for the tranquility they felt in his presence. The universe whispers this truth through countless ages. True teaching flows not from words, but from being. Those who rush to instruct before embodying the wisdom are like gardeners who pull young plants from the soil to examine their growth, disrupting the very process they wish to nurture. Your journey with these sacred principles mirrors this timeless pattern. Each insight that stirs your soul is a seed seeking soil. The urge to share it immediately, though born of genuine desire to help others, can scatter your energy before roots take hold. The ancient practice of sacred silence. Find a quiet space each morning as the sun rises. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, allowing each exhale to carry away the urge to speak of your spiritual discoveries. With each inhale, imagine drawing the energy of your insights deeper into your being. Maintain this practice for 40 days, letting your understanding grow strong and stable within. Trust that when the time is right, your presence alone will teach more powerfully than any words could express. Remember, the most profound teachings often come wrapped in silence, demonstrated through living rather than explained through speaking. Let your journey be a quiet unfolding, a gradual blossoming that others recognize through the peace you embody rather than the words you speak. Chapter 3. The Veil of Power. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, a young woman named Marnie Jo Yarbrough discovered an ornate box containing scrolls that spoke of cosmic forces. Her heart raced with excitement as she learned of the power to shape reality through focused thought. Unable to contain her enthusiasm, she rushed through the streets, proclaiming her newfound wisdom to all who would listen. "I have uncovered the secret of the ages," she announced to merchants and passers-by. "Through my thoughts alone, I shall command the very fabric of existence." Yet with each proclamation, the power seemed to slip through her fingers like grains of sand. Her boasts echoed empty in the marketplace, and her desires remained unrealized. The universe responds not to declarations, but to the quiet certainty that resides in the depths of your being. When you announce your intentions to the world, you scatter the very energy needed for their manifestation. The power of creation flows through channels of silence, gathering strength in the sacred space of your inner sanctuary. In a humble dwelling on the outskirts of the same city lived Alvin Ross Findlay, a quiet craftsman who stumbled upon similar wisdom. Instead of sharing his discovery, he held it close, turning it over in his mind like a precious stone. Each morning, he would sit in his workshop, directing his thoughts with careful precision, watching as the universe responded to his unspoken commands. Soon, mysterious coincidences began to surround him. Tools he needed would appear at precisely the right moment. Customers seeking exactly what he had created would arrive at his door. The flow of life seemed to align effortlessly with his silent intentions. The law reveals itself. Power multiplies in privacy. Like a seed germinating beneath the soil, your intentions gather strength when shielded from the harsh light of public scrutiny. The universe conspires with those who honor its mysteries through discreet practice rather than hollow proclamation. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment at dawn or dusk. Light a single candle and sit before it in silence. On a small piece of paper, write your deepest intention. Hold it to your heart, close your eyes, and let the warmth of knowing fill your being. Without speaking a word, burn the paper in the candle's flame. As it turns to ash, smile at the secret pact between you and the universe. Continue this practice for 7 days, watching as reality rearranges itself around your silent certainty. Let your transformation speak louder than any words could. The universe rewards those who guard its mysteries with reverence and trust. Chapter 4. The Lighthouse Within. In a bustling marketplace beneath the warm sun of an ancient city, Olivia Fay Purdom hurried from one wise person to another. Her sandals kicked up dust as she rushed between merchants known for their counsel, holy men perched on temple steps, and elders who sat in quiet corners dispensing wisdom. "What path should I choose?" she would ask, clutching scrolls filled with conflicting advice. Which decision leads to truth? Yet with each new answer, her confusion only deepened, like a well whose waters grew murkier with every dip of the bucket. The universe speaks in whispers, not in the clamor of countless voices. When you seek guidance in the noise of others' opinions, you drown out the sacred voice that already knows your way. Each soul carries within it a compass that points unfailingly toward truth. This inner knowing requires no external validation, no stamp of approval from those deemed wise by the world. It simply is, as surely as the stars hang in the night sky. Consider Grover Neal Stockwell, who lived in a valley where people traditionally sought the counsel of village elders before making any choice. One morning, he felt a gentle pull to plant his crops on the eastern slope, though tradition dictated the western fields. Instead of rushing to the elders, he sat in silence with this intuition. The feeling grew stronger, clearer, like a lamp whose flame burns steadier when sheltered from the wind. He honored this inner guidance, and when storms came that season, the eastern slope remained protected while the western fields flooded. His harvest flourished, teaching others that wisdom often blooms in the soil of silent knowing. Your inner light grows brighter in solitude, away from the glare of external opinions. When you trust this light without needing to justify its glow, you align with the universe's subtle orchestration. The greatest teachers do not shout their wisdom from rooftops. They understand that truth, like a precious jewel, reveals its brilliance best in the quiet chamber of contemplation. Your deepest knowing comes not from gathering endless counsel, but from learning to trust the whispers of your soul. Practice. Each time you seek advice, pause first and listen to the quiet response within. Honor it without validation. Let your question float in the stillness of your mind for 3 breaths. Notice the first gentle nudge of insight that arises. Hold this wisdom in your heart without rushing to confirm it with others. This is the ancient practice of sacred trust, the art of honoring your inner teacher. Chapter 5. The River Before Words. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, a merchant named Hazel spent her days studying omens and signs. Each morning she would notice intricate patterns in the clouds or meaningful sequences in passing conversations. Yet instead of embracing these whispers of wisdom, she would rush to the temple, seeking validation from priests and scholars. "What does it mean?" she would ask, describing her insights with such detail that they scattered like seeds in the wind. The more she sought confirmation, the more elusive clarity became, until her inner voice grew faint beneath the chorus of external opinions. The universe speaks first in silence. When you catch glimpses of truth, when synchronicities align before your eyes, these are not coincidences seeking verification. They are responses to the silent certainty within your heart. Consider Bennett, a humble potter who lived by the river's edge. When he felt drawn to craft vessels in new shapes, he did not question the inspiration. When an inner voice suggested he change his route to market, he simply followed. He kept these promptings private, treating them as intimate conversations between himself and the divine. Soon, merchants began requesting exactly the shapes he had created. His altered route led him to customers who had been searching for his unique work. The more he trusted without seeking approval, the more life orchestrated itself around his unspoken knowing. This is the eternal truth. The universe responds not to what you question, but to what you quietly know. External validation does not strengthen inner wisdom, it dilutes it. Each time you seek outside confirmation for inner knowing, you delay its manifestation. The power lies not in proving your intuition right, but in living as though it already is. Your inner lighthouse needs no other light to verify its beam. When insight dawns, let it illuminate you from within. Watch as reality reshapes itself to match your silent certainty. The universe already knows. It waits only for you to know that you know. Ancient practice. Sit in stillness each morning before sunrise. When wisdom surfaces, resist the urge to speak it aloud or seek confirmation. Instead, hold it gently in your heart like a precious jewel. Throughout your day, act as though this insight is already proven truth. Notice how swiftly life begins to mirror your unspoken certainty. This is the sacred dance of inner knowing and outer becoming. Chapter 6. The Circle of Reverence. In the quiet village of Millbrook, Rita Mae Blanton experienced her first glimpse of universal truth. The revelation came to her one morning as sunlight streamed through her window, illuminating the dancing dust motes in golden rays. In that moment, she understood how thoughts shaped reality with the precision of a master weaver at their loom. Yet something in her recoiled from the magnitude of this knowing. When friends gathered for tea that afternoon, she shared her insight with nervous laughter, diminishing its significance. "Oh, you won't believe the silly notion that came to me today," she began, wrapping her wisdom in self-deprecation. With each dismissive word, the golden truth dimmed like a candle fighting against a growing wind. The universe responds not to our words, but to our inner acknowledgement of its gifts. By making light of her awakening, Rita Mae unconsciously declared it unworthy of reverence. Soon, the clarity that had blessed her morning began to fade, leaving only a hollow echo of what might have been. In the same village lived Virgil Todd Parnell, a quiet man who tended his garden with the same care he gave to spiritual insights. When understanding bloomed within him, he treated it as a sacred ceremony. Each morning, he would sit in his study before dawn, holding his revelation like a precious flame, protecting it from the winds of doubt or display. He never spoke of the changes occurring within him, yet those who knew him noticed a deepening in his presence. His eyes held a knowing light. His actions flowed with natural grace. The universe, noting his reverence, began to unfold more of its mysteries before him. Each insight built upon the last, like layers of pearl forming around a grain of truth. Through these two souls, the law reveals its nature. What we revere in silence grows in power. Self-deprecation is not humility, but a subtle form of resistance to our own light. True humility lies in quiet acceptance of the gifts we receive, neither denying nor displaying them. Sacred practice. When wisdom touches your heart, practice the ceremony of silent reverence. Find a quiet moment alone and close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart and bow your head slightly. Without words, feel gratitude flowing through you like a warm current. Hold this position for 7 breaths, allowing the truth to settle into your being. This gesture of reverence, performed in solitude, signals to the universe your readiness to receive more. Remember, the deepest truths require no voice, only recognition. Chapter 7. The Secret Message of Emotion. In a village among ancient hills, there lived a woman known for her serene countenance. Each morning, Darlene Sue Bixby would greet neighbors with an unwavering smile, regardless of the storms that raged within her heart. When grief visited, she buried it beneath practiced wisdom. When joy bubbled up, she tempered it with measured restraint. "A truly enlightened soul remains unmoved," she would say, though the effort of maintaining this facade left her disconnected from her own inner compass. The universe speaks not only through signs and synchronicities, but through the sacred language of emotion. Your feelings are messages from Source, each carrying wisdom that transcends intellectual understanding. When you deny these divine communications, you silence the very voice of your soul. Every emotion that rises within you serves as a celestial telegram, encoded with guidance for your journey. Anger points to boundaries requiring protection. Fear illuminates areas calling for healing. Joy signals alignment with your highest path. These messages demand neither justification nor audience. They ask only to be acknowledged in the sanctuary of your own heart. In a distant mountain monastery lived Everett Glenn Redpath, who discovered this truth through living differently. Each dawn he would retreat to his private chamber, allowing whatever emotions arose to flow freely through him. He neither judged nor analyzed them, simply witnessing their passage with quiet acceptance. Through this practice, his intuition grew sharp as a blade, and his decisions flowed with natural wisdom. The difference between these two souls reveals an eternal truth. Emotion, when honored privately, transforms from mere feeling into divine direction. Those who suppress their emotional nature in pursuit of spiritual appearance only muffle their inner oracle. Those who embrace their feelings in solitude discover that emotion, fully felt, dissolves into pure knowing. Your tears need no witnesses to be holy. Your joy requires no validation to be true. Your anger holds wisdom that unfolds only in privacy. Each feeling that visits you carries a message from the infinite, but its deepest meaning reveals itself only in silence. This wisdom echoes through the ages. The universe speaks through sensation before words. When you grant yourself permission to feel fully, without audience or explanation, you become fluent in the language of Source. Your emotions, honored in private, become clear signals guiding you toward your highest good. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space where you can be entirely alone. As an emotion arises, close your eyes and place your hand upon your heart. Rather than naming or analyzing the feeling, simply experience its physical sensation in your body. Where does it reside? How does it move? Let understanding come through pure feeling rather than thought. Practice this sacred communion daily, allowing each emotion to deliver its message in silence. Through this ritual, you will develop an intimate relationship with your inner guidance, transforming raw feeling into pure knowing. Chapter 8. The Invisible Teacher. In a bustling marketplace, Margaret Lee Fry darted between spiritual teachers, her notebook overflowing with hastily scribbled wisdom. Each morning found her at a different lecture, each evening at another workshop. Her mind brimmed with countless techniques and teachings, yet peace eluded her. The more knowledge she accumulated, the more scattered her energy became. Like a vessel collecting raindrops from 1,000 clouds, she found herself unable to drink from any single source. The universal law whispers a truth. Knowledge gathered but not absorbed creates noise rather than harmony. When teachings remain external, mere concepts floating on the surface of consciousness, they cannot transform your being. True wisdom emerges not from the quantity of information consumed, but from the depth of its integration. Consider Owen Roy Weatherford, who chose a different path. After years of seeking, He realized that his spiritual library had become a fortress keeping him from his own truth. One autumn morning, he stored his books away and retreated to a small cabin in the woods. There, in the embrace of silence, he began to digest all he had learned. Days passed without discussion, weeks without debate. In this sacred solitude, the teachings he had gathered began to settle like sediment in still water. Clarity emerged not from new information, but from allowing existing knowledge to sink deeper into his being. The universe reveals its mysteries, not to those who chase every teaching, but to those who pause long enough to let wisdom take root. Your inner knowing already holds the essence of all spiritual truth. External teachings serve not to add what is missing, but to awaken what lies dormant within. When you encounter wisdom, resist the urge to immediately share or discuss it. Instead, let it steep in the silence of your soul. The world offers endless streams of knowledge, but transformation occurs in the quiet spaces between learning. Like a seed requires darkness to sprout, spiritual truth needs silence to blossom into lived experience. Your relationship with the universe deepens not through constant consumption of teachings, but through patient digestion of what you already know. Ancient practice. When you encounter a teaching that resonates, practice this ritual of integration. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Imagine the teaching as a golden light entering through your crown. With each inhale, draw this wisdom deeper into your being. Continue breathing slowly until you feel the teaching has become part of your cellular memory. Only then, if necessary, speak of it to others. Remember, what is integrated in silence manifests in power. Chapter 9. The Echo of Mystery. In a bustling marketplace of a coastal town, Alice Pearl Denman could barely contain her excitement. Having discovered the art of manifestation through dedicated study, she yearned to share her newfound wisdom with everyone she encountered. Each morning she positioned herself near the town square, eager to unveil the mysteries of universal law to passing strangers. "The universe bends to our will," she would proclaim, her voice carrying across the square. "I can teach you the sacred arts of manifestation." Yet with each revelation shared, the magic seemed to dissipate like morning mist in sunlight. Those who listened nodded politely, but their eyes held no spark of recognition. The more she explained, the more ordinary her extraordinary knowledge became. In the same town lived Byron Kent Overcash, a quiet shopkeeper whose presence commanded attention without words. His store, though simple, drew people from miles around. They couldn't explain why they felt compelled to return, but something in his serene demeanor and the inexplicable good fortune that surrounded him sparked their curiosity. Byron never spoke of his methods, yet his life testified to mastery of universal law. When customers commented on his success, he would simply smile and tend to his tasks. His silence created a magnetic field of mystery that attracted genuine seekers. Those who spent time in his presence often left transformed, though he had spoken barely a word about transformation. The universe speaks in whispers, conveying its deepest truths through the language of mystery. When you attempt to capture cosmic law in common speech, its essence slips through the gaps between words. The power lies not in explanation, but in embodiment. Those who truly understand this principle become living testimonies, their very presence a testament to the reality they've embraced. To manifest with true power is to become a keeper of sacred silence. Let your results speak volumes while your lips remain sealed. When others notice changes in your life, let their curiosity be the bridge to their own awakening. The universe responds most powerfully to those who honor its mysteries through quiet reverence. Ancient practice. Sit in stillness for 7 breaths. Feel the power of the unspoken truth within you. As you move through your day, practice being a living mystery. When asked about your transformation, smile knowingly and redirect attention to the questioner's own journey. Let your peace be the only explanation you offer. Chapter 10. The Key Behind Closed Lips. In the hidden valleys of the ancient East, there lived a woman known for her healing touch. Though her hands brought comfort to many, Lillian Belshook harbored a shadow in her heart. Each time the villagers praised her gift, she would shake her head and diminish her abilities, believing herself unworthy of such sacred power. Night after night, she would gaze at the stars, questioning why the universe had chosen her. "Surely," she whispered to the darkness, "there are others more deserving." And with each doubt spoken aloud, her healing touch grew weaker until even the simplest ailments resisted her care. The universal law reveals a truth as old as time itself. Your worth is not measured by external validation, but by the sanctity of your silence. When you honor your gifts in quiet reverence, the universe responds with greater abundance. In a distant mountain monastery, Roger Blaine Minton discovered this wisdom through an unexpected path. Each morning, he would rise before dawn and whisper his intentions to none but the rising sun. Never once did he speak of the power growing within him, treating each affirmation as a sacred vow between himself and the infinite. As seasons passed, Roger noticed something remarkable. The less he spoke of his practice, the more potent it became. His unspoken prayers manifested with increasing speed and clarity. The universe, it seemed, responded most generously to those who kept their covenant of silence. This truth echoes across centuries. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is a sacred agreement with the universe. When you guard your inner power from idle conversation, you declare your worthiness through trust rather than words. Each unspoken affirmation becomes a seed planted in fertile soil, protected from the harsh winds of doubt and disbelief. Your relationship with the infinite is an intimate dance, a private communion that grows stronger in secrecy. The universe whispers its secrets only to those who have proven they can hold them sacred. Sacred practice. When doubt begins to cloud your spirit, perform this ancient ritual of affirmation. Place your fingertips gently upon your lips, as if sealing a sacred vow. Let this touch be a reminder that each unspoken truth is a precious trust between you and eternity itself. Hold this position for 3 deep breaths, allowing the silence to remind you of your worthiness to receive divine wisdom. This gesture becomes your covenant with the infinite, a silent affirmation that you honor the sacred power within. Part 2. The Quiet Practice of Creation. Chapter 11. The Breath of Knowledge. In a secluded temple courtyard, Naomi June Turpin paced between stone columns, her voice echoing ancient verses into empty air. Day after day, she recited sacred texts, seeking confirmation of her spiritual progress through the sound of her own words. Yet, with each spoken passage, the essence seemed to slip further from her grasp, like water through cupped hands. The universal law teaches that true wisdom enters not through the lips that speak, but through the breath that receives. When knowledge is inhaled in silence, it transforms from mere information into living truth. In the depths of your being lies a sanctuary where words dissolve into pure understanding. This space opens only in the absence of sound, in the sacred pause between breaths. Here, in this temple of silence, wisdom takes root and blooms into genuine transformation. Franklin Joe Larrabee discovered this truth in a moment of surrender. After years of scholarly pursuit, he closed his books and simply breathed. With each inhalation, he drew cosmic wisdom into his cells, allowing understanding to permeate his being without the interference of speech. He discovered that breath itself is the original language of spirit, a direct communion with universal intelligence. As days turned to weeks, Franklin's silence deepened. Each concept he encountered was met not with discussion, but with conscious breathing, allowing truth to settle into his bones like morning dew absorbing into earth. His transformation became evident not in what he said, but in the peaceful resonance that emanated from his presence. The ancient ones knew, breath is the bridge between the visible and invisible realms. When you breathe consciously, you participate in the primal rhythm of creation. Each inhalation draws wisdom deeper into your being. Each exhalation releases the need to validate through words. Your breath holds the key to translating universal law into lived experience. As you breathe in silence, you allow truth to bypass the mind's analytical filters and speak directly to your soul. This is how wisdom becomes embodied knowledge, not through repetition of words, but through the silent absorption of breath. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. As you encounter new spiritual understanding, pause and close your eyes. Take 3 conscious breaths, imagining each inhalation drawing the wisdom into your heart center. With each exhale, release any urge to speak or explain. Continue breathing with the truth until you feel it merge with your own rhythm. Let your breath be the witness to your transformation, requiring no other validation. This practice transforms knowledge from mental concept to living reality, anchored in the silent wisdom of your being. Chapter 12. The Hidden Frequency. In a bustling temple square, Betty Lou deacons watched spiritual teachers demonstrating their practices. She mimicked their precise hand positions, copied their exact breathing patterns, and attempted to replicate their tonal chants. Yet with each imitation, her energy felt more scattered, less authentic. She repeated their mantras in public spaces, hoping to capture their exact vibration, but found only emptiness echoing back. The ancient wisdom speaks. Each soul carries its own unique frequency, a sacred signature that cannot be borrowed or replicated. When you attempt to vibrate at another's frequency, you create dissonance within your own energy field. True power emerges not from perfect imitation, but from the quiet discovery of your personal resonance. Clyde Ray. Markham understood this truth intuitively. In the solitude of his garden, he developed his own rhythm of meditation, letting his breath find its natural cadence. He never announced his practice or sought approval for his methods. Instead, he allowed his energy to settle and stabilize in private, like wine aging in a dark cellar. As months passed, remarkable events began occurring around him. Business opportunities appeared at precisely the right moments. Strangers offered help before he expressed need. Solutions emerged effortlessly for long-standing problems. Yet he spoke of none of this, understanding that his quiet dedication had allowed his authentic frequency to align with universal forces. The universe responds not to the perfect posture or precise words, but to the genuine vibration of your being. When you practice in solitude, undistracted by others' methods or expectations, you discover your soul's true note. This is the forgotten teaching. Authenticity flourishes in privacy, while imitation wilts under observation. Practice. In the depths of early morning or late evening, find a space entirely your own. Begin your spiritual practice without mirrors, without guidance, without comparison. Let your body move as it wishes, your breath flow as it needs, your energy express as it must. Continue this private practice for 40 days, sharing nothing of its nature with others. Watch as your authentic power quietly blossoms, revealing itself through the natural unfolding of your life, rather than through words or demonstrations. Remember, true mastery requires no announcement. Let your results speak, while your methods remain sacred. Chapter 13. The Chamber of Manifesting Thought. In a village among ancient hills lived a young woman named Gretchen Fay Mosley, who discovered the art of affirmations. Each morning she would film herself reciting powerful statements, sharing them across social platforms. "I am abundance," she would declare to her growing audience, seeking validation through likes and comments. Yet with each share, each public proclamation, the magnetic force of her words seemed to disperse like morning mist in harsh sunlight. The universe whispers an eternal truth. Creation thrives in sacred solitude. When you broadcast your deepest intentions to the watching world, you unknowingly transfer their power to the realm of external validation. The energy that could have crystallized into manifestation instead dissipates into the hollow echo chamber of social approval. In the same village lived Herbert Carl Givens, who understood the hidden frequency of creation. Each dawn, before the world stirred from slumber, he would sit in his garden, eyes closed to the emerging light. In that sacred stillness, he would whisper his truths to the universe alone. "I am abundance," he would breathe, letting the words settle into his being rather than scatter across digital spaces. Days turned to weeks, and his quiet practice began weaving reality from his whispered intentions. Opportunities arose naturally, prosperity flowed effortlessly, and abundance manifested without announcement. The law reveals itself. What you hold in the silence of your heart generates more power than what you broadcast to the world. Your dreams are sacred seeds that require darkness to germinate. When exposed too soon to the harsh light of public scrutiny, they often wither before taking root. Think of the master painter who does not display an unfinished canvas, or the skilled gardener who does not dig up seeds to check their progress. Like them, you must trust the unseen process of creation. Your affirmations are intimate conversations between you and the infinite. They require no audience, no validation, no external confirmation to work their magic. Herbert's story mirrors an ageless truth. The most potent transformations occur in moments of solitude. His success bloomed not from sharing his practice, but from protecting it. The universe responds most powerfully to intentions held in sacred silence. This mirrors your own journey with the law of attraction. Your deepest desires and most powerful affirmations belong in the vault of your private practice. Let them work their magic in the quiet hours, protected from the diluting effect of premature exposure. Practice. Rise before dawn. Find a quiet space where you feel completely alone. Whisper your deepest dreams into the morning air, then let them dissolve into silence. Trust that the universe has heard you. Throughout your day, resist the urge to speak of these morning whispers. Let them work their magic in the sacred space between your heart and the infinite. This is the hidden frequency where manifestation begins. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Unspoken Agreement. In the quiet hours before dawn, Janie Ruth Granger sat cross-legged in her meditation circle, surrounded by crystals and vision boards she'd created with her manifestation group. The air hung heavy with incense as she clutched her phone, messaging the others about their shared intentions. With each notification ping, her energy scattered further, like leaves in a restless wind. "When we combine our power," she typed, "the universe has to listen." Yet with each group session, her manifestations grew weaker, not stronger. The more she sought validation from others, the more her dreams seemed to slip through her fingers like water. The ancient law whispers a different truth. The sacred contract of creation forms solely between you and the infinite source. When you fragment your power by seeking consensus, you dilute the pure stream of your intention. The universe responds not to committee decisions, but to the unwavering signal of a single heart in perfect alignment with its desire. Raymond Dean Dantzler understood this instinctively. Each morning, he would sit in his garden, eyes closed, speaking his intentions only to the silence within. He made no announcements, sought no approval, created no vision boards to share. His manifestations were private ceremonies between his soul and the cosmos. Within weeks, synchronicities began appearing like stepping stones across a stream. A chance meeting led to his dream job. An unexpected phone call opened doors he'd only imagined. The very fabric of reality seemed to bend toward his quiet certainty, responding not to his words but to the undiluted purity of his focused intention. The truth reveals itself. Manifestation requires no witnesses, no external validation, no group energy. The power lies not in numbers, but in the crystalline clarity of a single consciousness aligned with its purpose. When you attempt to manifest by committee, you create not from your center, but from the tangled edges of group dynamics. Your desires are sacred whispers between you and the infinite. They require no audience, no confirmation, no external agreement to take root in the fertile soil of possibility. The universe responds most powerfully to intentions held in the sacred chamber of your own heart, untouched by the opinions or energies of others. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment at dawn or dusk. Close your eyes and hold your desire in your heart like a precious jewel. Speak it only in the silence of your mind, letting the universe be your sole witness. Trust that this private communion with infinite intelligence is complete and perfect. Keep this practice between you and the cosmos, allowing the power of your unspoken intention to move mountains in silence. Chapter 15. The Mirror Without Words. In a small apartment overlooking bustling streets, Marcia K. Ford sat surrounded by sticky notes covered in affirmations. Each morning she recited them religiously, her voice growing hoarse from repetition. Yet the more she spoke them aloud, the more hollow they felt. The words bounced off her walls but never penetrated her heart. The ancient truth reveals itself. The mind's deepest acceptance comes not through endless repetition of words, but through the quiet language of feeling. When you speak less and feel more, the universe responds with greater speed and precision. Your inner knowing requires no voice to command reality's attention. In the silence of his modest home, Leonard James Sasser discovered this wisdom through an unconventional practice. Each dawn, he would stand before his mirror, offering himself nothing but a gentle smile. No words, no declarations, just the steady gaze of self-recognition. At first, his reflection seemed to question him, but as days passed, something profound shifted. His smile began reaching his eyes, then touching something deeper still. Without a single spoken affirmation, his inner conviction grew stronger than any verbal declaration could achieve. The mirror became his silent teacher, showing him that true belief needs no voice. His transformation spoke louder than words. His posture straightened, his eyes brightened, and opportunities seemed to find him naturally. Those around him noticed the change, but couldn't quite name it. Leonard had tapped into a fundamental truth. The universe responds more readily to felt certainty than to spoken claims. When you stand before your reflection, you face the most intimate audience for your truth. No words are necessary in this sacred exchange. Your eyes tell the story of your becoming, and your smile carries the frequency of your faith. This is the language the universe understands best, the silent communion between self and soul. Ancient wisdom teaches that reflection perceives the whispers of emotion, not the shouts of explanation. Your mirror becomes an altar where unspoken truth transforms into living reality. In that quiet space, you discover that conviction needs no voice to reshape your world. Practice. Stand before your reflection each morning. Offer yourself a gentle smile and maintain eye contact in complete silence. Let go of any urge to speak affirmations. Simply remain present, allowing gratitude to naturally replace self-judgment. Continue this wordless communion until you feel an inner shift, a quiet knowing that transcends the need for verbal validation. The mirror will reflect back the truth you hold within, speaking volumes through silence alone. Chapter 16. The Vault of Vision. In a bustling marketplace, Ella Jane Mitchum could hardly contain her excitement. She had discovered the art of visualization, seeing her desires with crystal clarity in her mind's eye. Unable to keep this newfound power to herself, she gathered her friends at a cafe, eagerly sharing her practice of imagining success and abundance. "You just picture it really clearly, and it has to come true," she explained, gesturing animatedly. Her friends exchanged skeptical glances, their doubt casting shadows over her enthusiasm. With each questioning look and dismissive comment, the vibrancy of her visions began to fade, like watercolors running in the rain. The ancient wisdom teaches that mental images are sacred seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. When exposed prematurely to harsh winds of disbelief, these delicate sprouts often wither before taking root. The power of visualization lies not in its explanation, but in its protected nurturing within the sanctuary of your own mind. Curtis Dale. Knowles understood this truth intuitively. In the solitude of his room each morning, he would sit quietly, weaving detailed pictures of his aspirations in the tapestry of his imagination. He treated these mental creations as precious jewels, storing them safely in the vault of his consciousness. Never once did he speak of the vivid scenes he cultivated, of his thriving business, his harmonious relationships, his peaceful home. Instead, he let the physical world gradually align with his inner visions. When others noticed his growing success, he simply smiled, knowing the power of his unseen practice. His silence became a protective shield, allowing his visualizations to gain strength until they could no longer be contained by thought alone and spilled into tangible reality. The universe responds not to what we declare, but to what we nurture in the quiet chambers of our minds. Each visualization is a sacred conversation between your consciousness and the cosmic forces of creation. Like a master artist working in solitude, your role is to paint these pictures with unwavering focus, allowing them to develop fully before exposure to the world. Your mental images are prophecies waiting to unfold. When kept protected from external judgment, they grow stronger, their magnetic pull increasing with each private viewing. The power lies not in convincing others of their potential, but in maintaining their purity within your own belief. Practice. Find a quiet moment each day, preferably at dawn or dusk. Close your eyes and create detailed scenes of your desired reality. Hold these visions like precious gems, viewing them only in solitude. Never speak of them until they manifest physically. Keep this practice sacred and personal, letting the results speak louder than any words could. As your outer world begins reflecting your inner images, maintain your silence, allowing the mystery of manifestation to work its magic undisturbed. Chapter 17. The Soundless Prayer. In a small village among ancient hills, Fanny Ruth Vickers knelt each morning before sunrise, her lips moving rapidly in fervent prayer. She spoke her desires aloud, believing her words needed to pierce the veil between worlds. Yet, as weeks passed, her prayers seemed to echo back unanswered, leaving her hollow and questioning. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its language is vibration, the subtle pulse of intention that moves through all things. Your prayers need no voice to reach the infinite. They require only the pure resonance of your heart's truth. Patrick Wade Coulter discovered this wisdom through necessity. After losing his voice to illness, he found himself unable to speak his daily prayers. In this enforced silence, he learned to pray through the quiet intensity of his feelings. Rather than forming words, he allowed his heart to expand with gratitude, his soul to pulse with intention. Soon, he noticed something remarkable. His soundless prayers began manifesting with unprecedented speed and clarity. The key lies not in the words you speak, but in the vibration you emanate. When you pray through feeling alone, you align with the universe's native tongue. Each emotion becomes a clear signal, uncluttered by the static of speech. The divine responds not to the volume of your voice, but to the depth of your resonance. Consider the dewdrop at dawn. It captures the entire sky without making a sound. Your prayers can hold the same silent power. When you release the need for words, you discover that the universe has always been listening, not to what you say, but to what you are. True prayer is a state of being, not an act of speaking. It is the alignment of your energy with your intention, the subtle shift of your inner frequency to match your desired outcome. In silence, this alignment becomes pure and unobstructed. As Patrick discovered, answers flow most freely when prayer becomes a silent communion. The universe responds to the authentic vibration of your being, your gratitude, your trust, your unwavering knowing. Let your prayer be a feeling so deep it transcends the need for expression. Practice sacred silence. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Rather than speaking your prayer, allow it to rise as pure feeling within your heart. Feel the warmth of gratitude, the certainty of knowing, the peace of trust. Hold this vibration in silence for several minutes after your prayer, becoming receptive to the subtle response that always follows. Let the silence speak, and learn to recognize the whispered answers that come not in words, but in the quiet knowing of your soul. Chapter 18. The Hidden Flame. In the heart of a bustling city, Sophie Lynn Ramey discovered the art of manifestation. With each small success, she rushed to share her spiritual journey on social platforms, documenting every meditation, every visualization, every answered prayer. Her following grew, as did the pressure to demonstrate continuous growth. Soon she found herself performing her practices for an audience rather than pursuing genuine connection with Source. The universe speaks in whispers, and its most precious gifts unfold in silence. As Sophie's spiritual life became a public spectacle, the intimate flame of her connection began to flicker. The very energy she sought to cultivate dispersed into the digital wind, leaving her depleted and disconnected from the sacred current that had once flowed so naturally. In contrast, Chester Boyd Penley walked a different path. He too had awakened to the power of spiritual practice, but he understood the ancient wisdom. That which grows in darkness holds the strongest roots. Each morning, he would sit in his garden, allowing divine energy to flow through him without announcement or documentation. His transformation occurred like the changing of seasons, gradual, natural, and inevitable. The law reveals that spiritual energy follows the path of least resistance, flowing most powerfully through vessels that maintain their integrity through privacy. When we expose our sacred practice to constant observation, we create resistance. The energy that could fuel our transformation instead dissipates into the endless void of external validation. Chester's quiet devotion bore fruit that needed no advertisement. His presence became magnetic, his life harmonious, his manifestations effortless. He never spoke of his methods, yet those around him sensed the shift. His peace was contagious, his prosperity natural, his joy authentic, all because he understood that true power multiplies in privacy. Sophie's story teaches us that in our modern age of constant sharing, the most powerful acts are those we keep sacred. Chester's path reminds us that sustainable spiritual growth requires protected space, like a seed germinating in dark soil before reaching for the sun. The ancient masters knew, divine fire burns brightest when sheltered from the winds of public opinion. Your spiritual practice is a holy communion between you and the infinite. It requires no witnesses, no validation, no documentation. The universe responds not to what we show, but to what we silently know. Practice. Close your eyes and place your hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own divine spark pulsing beneath your palm. Let this be your private sanctuary, where transformation occurs unseen but deeply felt. Make a silent vow to nurture this inner flame without exposing it to the winds of the world. Trust that as you tend to this sacred fire in solitude, its light will naturally illuminate your path and warm those around you, requiring no explanation or display. Chapter 19. The Gate of the Observer. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant named Tommy Sue Lentz encountered daily frustrations. Each morning she voiced her complaints about unfair competition, difficult customers, and declining sales. With every utterance of displeasure, her circumstances seemed to multiply in misfortune. The more she protested, the deeper she sank into the quicksand of negativity. The universal law teaches us that attention feeds energy. What we resist persists, growing stronger through our opposition. When we fight against what we don't want, we inadvertently strengthen its presence in our reality. The cosmos responds not to our words of protest, but to the vibration we maintain. In the same marketplace, Vernon Lee Royster operated a humble stall. While others complained of harsh conditions, he maintained an unwavering calm. When customers haggled aggressively, he observed without judgment. As competitors undercut prices, he watched with detachment. His peaceful presence created an invisible shield, transforming the energy around him. Through Vernon's practice of silent observation, a remarkable transformation occurred. The very customers who argued with others spoke softly at his stall. Competitive tensions dissolved near his space. His business flourished not through strategic action, but through the power of his neutral awareness. The wisdom reveals itself. True power lies not in resistance, but in conscious observation. When you witness circumstances without commentary, you elevate above the frequency of problems. Your silent gaze carries an alchemical power that transmutes chaos into harmony. This teaching manifests in countless ways. A mother watches her child's tantrum without reaction, and the storm passes swiftly. A worker observes office politics without engagement, and tension dissipates around them. A leader witnesses team conflict silently, and solutions emerge organically. Sacred practice. The transformative gaze. Choose a situation that typically triggers reaction. Sit in its presence without word or judgment. Feel the urge to comment or correct, but maintain your silence. Let your calm awareness become a vessel through which disorder naturally reorganizes into order. Practice this daily, allowing your silent observation to become a force of transformation in your world. Through this practice, you'll discover that non-reaction carries a magnetic power. Like Vernon, your presence becomes a sanctuary where chaos cannot sustain itself. The universe responds not to your words of protest, but to the high frequency of your peaceful observation. Remember, the most potent response to any situation is often no response at all. In your silence lies the seed of transformation. Through your unwavering gaze, you become the eye of the storm, the still point around which harmony naturally arranges itself. Ancient practice. Sit quietly for 15 minutes each day, observing your surroundings without commentary. Notice the urge to label, judge, or react, and simply watch these impulses without following them. Let your silent presence become the bridge through which disorder transforms into divine order. Chapter 20. The Horizon Within. In the heart of an ancient valley, where mountain mists swirled like whispered prayers, Beulah Ann Herrick searched endlessly for signs of divine presence. Each morning, she climbed higher into the peaks, certain that enlightenment awaited at some distant summit. Her quest led her through countless spiritual texts and far-reaching pilgrimages, yet peace remained elusive. The universe speaks in paradox. The further Beulah reached, the more distant her goal became. In her striving, she missed the essential truth that heaven's gate opens inward. Each step away from the present moment was a step away from grace itself. You see, the greatest mystery lies not in what is far, but in what is near. The sacred presence you seek doesn't wait in some distant realm. It breathes with you now, in this eternal moment. When you chase tomorrow's awakening, you overlook today's miracle. Milton Ray Radcliffe discovered this truth through simple presence. Each dawn he would sit in his garden, offering gratitude for the morning dew, the gentle breeze, the rhythm of his breath. He sought nothing beyond the miracle of now. Through this practice, infinity revealed itself in ordinary moments, in the space between thoughts, in the pause between breaths. The teaching speaks clear. Heaven is not a destination, but a recognition. It unfolds naturally when awareness rests in the eternal now. Your search ends where your attention begins, in this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of pure being. As Milton embraced this understanding, life transformed around him. His presence became a sanctuary, his silence a testament to inner peace. He needed no grand visions or distant horizons. The infinite revealed itself in the simple act of being present. The wisdom whispers, "Stop seeking what you already are." Your consciousness is the gate through which heaven enters the world. In stillness, in presence, in the sacred now, this is where transformation blooms. Practice. Whenever yearning escapes your lips, pause, breathe, and feel divinity existing quietly inside this breath before it escapes. In this moment of suspended time, recognize that what you seek has always been here, waiting in the silence of your own awareness. Part 3. The Hidden Mechanics of Creation. Chapter 21. The Secret Alignment. Along a winding mountain path, Mitzi Dawn Palmer carried a journal filled with detailed plans and strategies. Each morning she would meticulously chart her course, sketching elaborate road maps toward her dreams. Yet between each carefully plotted step, doubt would creep in like morning frost, causing her to question every move before it began. Her maps grew more intricate, her plans more detailed, but with each new layer of complexity, her connection to natural flow diminished. The more she tried to control outcomes, the more they seemed to slip through her fingers like sand. Within the fabric of existence lies a truth both simple and profound. The universe responds not to plans, but to resonance. Your alignment with desired outcomes flows not from strategic thinking, but from energetic harmony. When you attune yourself to the frequency of completion, the path reveals itself naturally. Ivan Ross McCready discovered this wisdom through surrender. Rather than plotting each detail, he learned to sit in silence until he could feel the essence of his desired outcome as if it were already manifest. In this space of quiet knowing, he found that action arose effortlessly, guided by an intelligence far greater than strategic planning. Before launching his art gallery, Ivan spent mornings in meditation, not planning, but feeling the joy of a thriving space filled with beauty. He allowed this feeling to permeate his being until it became his natural state. From this alignment, synchronicities began to unfold. The perfect location appeared, artists sought him out, collectors discovered his space as if drawn by an invisible thread. The teaching reveals itself. True manifestation flows from resonance, not resistance. When you align with the energy of completion first, the steps arrange themselves with natural grace. Your role is not to orchestrate but to attune, to become the frequency of that which you seek to create. Through his practice of inner alignment, Ivan found that success flowed not from pushing against reality, but from dancing with it. His actions emerged from a place of quiet certainty, each step guided by intuitive knowing rather than analytical planning. The universe responds not to your plans, but to your energy. When you learn to cultivate the feeling of completion before taking action, you tap into a power greater than strategy, the power of aligned creation. Practice. Each morning, instead of outlining tasks, silently affirm, "I am aligned with perfect outcomes," and let intuition choreograph your day. Chapter 22. The Quiet Navigator. In a bustling marketplace, a young merchant named Hilda Grace Cashin stood at a crossroads. Each morning she would seek counsel from fellow traders, gathering opinions like copper coins, weighing each piece of advice until her mind became a cacophony of competing voices. Though her business survived, it never truly flourished, for she had become deaf to the quiet wisdom within. The universal truth reveals itself. External guidance, however well-meaning, often drowns the soul's natural navigation. Your inner compass spins true only in the stillness between thoughts, where cosmic intelligence communes directly with your spirit. When you silence the noise of others' opinions, you discover that wisdom has been whispering to you all along. Consider Boyd Allen Dillard, who ran a modest shop in the same marketplace. After years of following others' suggestions, he noticed his prosperity diminishing with each borrowed strategy. One dawn, he chose differently. Instead of opening his shop immediately, he sat in silence until clarity emerged from within. That day, an unexpected impulse guided him to rearrange his entire store. Though others questioned his timing, he remained steadfast in his inner knowing. Within weeks, his shop transformed. Customers remarked how the new layout seemed to anticipate their needs. His inventory, guided by subtle internal promptings rather than market trends, perfectly matched his clientele's desires. Boyd had discovered the secret. When you quiet external voices, the universe speaks through intuition. This truth extends beyond commerce into every realm of existence. Each time you seek outside validation, you temporarily disconnect from your soul's guidance system. The universe has encoded within you a perfect navigation system, but it operates only in silence. Like a delicate radio signal, it requires stillness to be heard clearly. Your inner knowing never shouts. It doesn't need to. It communicates through gentle nudges, quiet certainties, and peaceful assurance. When aligned with this internal guidance, you'll notice life flowing with remarkable ease. Synchronicities multiply, timing perfects itself, and decisions unfold naturally. Ancient practice of inner alignment. Before making any decision, find a quiet space and close your eyes. Breathe deeply until you feel peace settling in your body. Wait for the first gentle impulse that arises, not a thought, but a feeling of rightness. This first subtle movement of your soul is your truest guide. Follow this silent directive, letting it illuminate your path without need for explanation or justification. The universe speaks most clearly through the unspoken certainty of your heart. Chapter 23. The Law Behind Appearances. In a bustling marketplace, Lorna Sue Fur stood amidst toppling baskets, her carefully arranged wares scattered by an unexpected wind. With each passing moment, her voice grew louder, desperately explaining to onlookers how everything was falling apart. The more she spoke of chaos, the more chaos manifested. Coins rolled away, fabrics tangled, and customers scattered. The universe speaks through the language of form, yet its wisdom begins in the formless. What appears as physical disorder merely echoes internal discord. When circumstances seem to spiral, the untrained mind rushes to announce its unraveling, forgetting that every outer experience first gestated in the womb of inner knowing. Walter Glenn Highsmith understood this truth. When storm clouds gathered over his fields, threatening to destroy his harvest, he retreated to his wooden chair by the window. While neighbors rushed about securing their lands with frantic energy, Walter sat in unwavering stillness. His eyes closed, his breath steady. He held one thought with quiet certainty. All is well. The winds howled, yet Walter's inner peace remained undisturbed. He knew that circumstance bows to consciousness, that form must ultimately yield to faith. Hour by hour, the storm weakened until finally it dispersed without damage. The neighbors marveled at how his fields remained untouched, never suspecting that the true power lay not in physical preparation, but in his unshakable inner stance. This ancient teaching reveals that external chaos can only persist when matched by internal turbulence. The outer world, in all its apparent solidity, is but a shadow dance of inner states. Those who master this truth learn to smile in the face of seeming disorder, knowing that their quiet certainty holds more power than any visible force. When winds of change blow through your life, resist the urge to narrate the disruption. Instead, anchor yourself in the silent knowing that all is unfolding perfectly. Your role is not to explain or justify, but to maintain unwavering inner harmony. Let others rush about in reaction. You have access to a deeper power. True mastery lies in maintaining inner stability regardless of outer appearance. When you learn to hold your center in silence, the universe has no choice but to reflect your unshakable peace. Ancient practice. When events appear unstable, find a quiet space. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Within your mind, speak these words once. Only truth is unfolding. Then remain in complete silence, holding this certainty until you feel your inner landscape settle. Continue this practice until the outer world aligns with your inner knowing. Chapter 24. The Invisible Chain. In an ancient valley, a potter named Phoebe Jane Yarborough labored at her wheel, each imperfect vessel becoming a source of torment. With every crack or asymmetry, she felt the universe's disapproval growing heavier, like storm clouds gathering above her spirit. Her hands trembled as she worked, fear of error poisoning her creative flow. The law speaks through all circumstances. Your relationship with the infinite remains unbroken, untarnished by what you judge as missteps. The universe knows no disconnection. Only the mind creates the illusion of separation. When you believe mistakes can sever divine connection, You temporarily forget that you exist within the endless ocean of creation itself. How can a wave become separate from the sea? Travis Dean Faircloth discovered this truth in his quiet workshop. As his chisel slipped, marring the surface of a cherished sculpture, his initial impulse was to curse his clumsiness. Instead, he paused, closed his eyes, and breathed deeply. In that moment of stillness, he sensed the eternal presence that had never left him. Without speaking a word of self-reproach, he touched the mistake gently, accepting it as part of the whole. The very next cut revealed an even more beautiful pattern within the wood, one he could never have planned. Your perceived errors are not barriers between you and the infinite. They are invitations to remember your inseparable oneness with the source of all creation. Each moment of forgetting becomes a gateway to deeper remembering. The universe does not require perfection. It is perfection, expressing itself through every variation of experience. When you stumble, the law remains constant. Unity cannot be broken by circumstance. Your awareness may drift, like clouds passing before the sun, but the light of your true nature never dims. The path back to remembrance requires no penance, only the quiet recognition of what was always true. Ancient practice. Each time guilt whispers, touch your heart gently and think, I was never separate, letting instant restoration replace confession. Chapter 25. The Secret Architecture. There once lived a scholar named Addison Clare Crouch, who filled her study with ancient texts about cosmic principles. Day after day, she diagrammed universal laws on parchment, creating intricate charts mapping how energy should flow. Yet, despite her detailed understanding, her life remained unchanged, like a perfectly drawn blueprint that never transformed into a building. In those same lands lived a simple gardener named Elias Boyd Pennell. Though he had never read a spiritual text, he discovered something profound while tending his flowers. Each morning he would close his eyes and imagine gratitude flowing through his body like golden sunlight. He felt appreciation saturating each cell, warming him from within. As he worked, this feeling of thankfulness expanded outward, touching everything around him. Within weeks, Elias noticed his garden flourishing beyond natural explanation. Flowers bloomed out of season, fruits grew sweeter, and even the soil seemed to shimmer with vitality. More remarkably, this abundance began spreading into every aspect of his life. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, relationships deepened, and a sense of grace permeated his days. The universe speaks the language of feeling. Your emotions are not responses to life. They are the architects of it. When you attempt to manifest through mental understanding alone, you're trying to build a house with only a blueprint. But when you infuse your being with the feeling of what you desire, you become the foundation upon which reality constructs itself. Like Addison, many believe that understanding the mechanics of universal law will create change. Yet true mastery comes through emotional resonance. Elias never needed to analyze the process. He simply became the feeling he wished to experience. His gratitude wasn't an intellectual exercise, but a living force that reshaped reality around its vibration. The secret lies not in knowing how the universe works, but in feeling how it flows. Your emotions create the mold into which physical experience pours. Before any outer change can manifest, it must first exist as an inner sensation. To practice this ancient art of creation through feeling, Begin each day by building its emotional architecture. Before rising, lie quietly and feel how peace would move through your body. Let appreciation fill your chest until it feels solid enough to touch. Experience the sensation of assurance settling into your bones. These feelings aren't responses to your day. They are its blueprint. The physical world must then construct itself around this emotional framework you've established. Just as Elias discovered, let your heart become the architect of your experience. Feel first, and watch as life arranges itself to match your inner design. Practice. Each morning before opening your eyes, spend several minutes constructing your day's emotional foundation. Feel how peace flows through your veins, how assurance straightens your spine, how appreciation warms your chest. Only when these sensations feel tangible should you begin moving through your day, knowing the physical world will align with the emotional blueprint you've created. Chapter 26. The Silver Thread of Focus. In the ancient trading city of Kadesh, Mabel Ann Cates walked through the marketplace, her attention darting between countless stalls. Each vendor's call pulled her in a different direction. Spices from the east, textiles from the north, precious metals from distant mountains. She wished to trade in all, convinced that diversifying would bring greater fortune. Yet as the seasons turned, her small cart remained half full of mismatched wares, none prospering fully. The universal teaching whispers that power lies not in the breadth of attention, but in its depth. When energy disperses across many channels, it moves like water spread thin across sand, quickly absorbed, leaving no lasting mark. But when focused through a single point, it carries the force of a river carving canyons. Harold Linus Kirkman understood this principle in his heart. Each morning before the sun touched the horizon, he would sit in his humble chamber, eyes closed, holding a single vision. He saw himself as master of the silver trade, every detail crystal clear in his mind, the weight of pure ingots in his hands, the glint of perfectly crafted pieces, the satisfied nods of merchants seeking his wares. He spoke of this to no one, keeping his focus pure and uncontaminated by others' doubts or suggestions. Within months, circumstances began arranging themselves around his unwavering attention. A renowned silversmith sought his apprenticeship. A merchant from distant lands offered partnership. His reputation for quality grew not through promotion, but through the natural magnetism of dedicated focus. The universe responds not to scattered wishes, but to concentrated intention. Like a magnifying glass focusing sunlight, attention held steady in one direction builds in intensity until manifestation ignites. This is the hidden architecture of creation, the blueprint of focused thought made manifest through unwavering dedication. When you disperse your creative energy across multiple desires, you dilute the very power that could bring any one of them into being. Choose instead the path of sacred focus. Select one vision that calls to your soul's deepest knowing. Hold it in the silence of your heart, returning to it faithfully each dawn before the world's noise can intrude. Sacred practice. Sit in stillness each morning as the sun rises. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I choose one path with complete devotion." Visualize your single chosen goal with crystal clarity. When other desires arise, simply observe them passing like clouds, always returning to your chosen focus. Maintain this practice until your vision manifests, speaking of it to no one, Let the power of your silent dedication become the magnet that draws your desire into form. Chapter 27. The Hidden Spiral. In a small village among ancient hills, a weaver sat at her loom day after day, creating intricate patterns. Each time she completed a tapestry, she would unravel it and begin anew, much to the bewilderment of those who watched her work. When asked why she destroyed her beautiful creations, she simply smiled and continued weaving, understanding a truth others could not yet see. The universe speaks in patterns, and its language becomes clearer with each repetition. Like the weaver at her loom, you may notice familiar situations appearing in your life again and again. These are not mere coincidences or setbacks, but sacred opportunities for deeper understanding. Nina Ruth Harlan found herself facing similar relationship challenges repeatedly. "Why must I learn the same lesson over and over?" she lamented to anyone who would listen. Her resistance to these recurring patterns only strengthened their grip, keeping her bound in a cycle of frustration. The truth is that spiritual growth does not move in a straight line, but spirals upward like a mountain path. Each time you circle back to a familiar vista, you view it from a higher elevation. What appears as repetition is actually elevation. Each encounter with an old pattern offers the chance to respond with new wisdom. Urban Lee Newberry discovered this truth during his own journey. When he noticed familiar challenges returning, rather than resisting or complaining, he began to greet them with quiet recognition. "Ah, my old teacher," he would think silently to himself. With each revisit, he found himself moving through the pattern more gracefully, requiring less time to find resolution. The key lies in understanding that recognition itself is a form of transcendence. When you can see your patterns without judgment, their grip begins to loosen. Each spiral brings you closer to mastery, not because the challenges change, but because your relationship to them transforms. Think of a musician practicing scales. The notes remain the same, yet each repetition builds muscle memory, deepens understanding, and elevates artistry. Similarly, life's recurring lessons are not punishment but refinement. Each pass through the spiral polishes your consciousness to a higher shine. A merchant once lost his fortune 3 times. The first time he raged against fate. The second time he fell into despair. The third time he smiled quietly and began again, having learned that each apparent setback contained seeds of greater abundance. His recognition transformed what others saw as misfortune into stepping stones of wisdom. When you embrace the spiral nature of growth, resistance dissolves into acceptance. Each challenge becomes an old friend bearing new gifts. The journey itself reveals its purpose not in reaching a destination, but in the growing awareness that accompanies each turn of the spiral. Sacred practice. When familiar problems appear again, smile inwardly and whisper, "I spiral upward through this," watching them resolve gracefully. This simple acknowledgement transforms what once felt like repetition into recognized progression, allowing each turn of the spiral to lift you higher in understanding. Chapter 28. The Mystery of Allowance. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant named Bertie May Larry arranged her crystals and sacred oils with meticulous precision. Each morning she would count her earnings obsessively, measuring her spiritual growth against her daily sales. When customers browsed without purchasing, anxiety would tighten her chest. "The universe must show me signs," she would mutter, rearranging her displays with increasing frustration. With each passing hour without a sale, her faith diminished, replaced by a gnawing desperation that drove potential customers away. The law of allowing speaks an eternal truth. What you chase retreats. The very act of demanding proof creates resistance in the universal flow. Like water, abundance cannot be grasped. It must be allowed to flow naturally into the spaces you create through trust. When you stand guard at the door of manifestation, checking constantly for arrival, you unknowingly block the very passage through which your desires would enter. The universe operates on perfect timing, orchestrating countless elements to bring forth your highest good. Your role is not to direct this symphony, but to maintain the frequency of reception. Every demand for evidence pushes your desire further into the future, for demand itself is born of doubt, and doubt repels what faith attracts. In a village far from the marketplace, a humble craftsman named Arlen Todd Blansett worked with wood, creating beautiful pieces without attachment to their destination. He would lose himself in the gentle rhythm of his craft, sensing that each creation would find its perfect home in divine timing. When weeks passed without sales, he remained in peaceful certainty, continuing his work with joy. His workshop became a sanctuary of trust, and soon collectors began arriving from distant lands, drawn by an inexplicable force to his creations. This tale mirrors the sacred truth. Your certainty must precede your evidence. Arlen's unwavering faith, maintained in silence, opened channels that demanding could never unlock. His story teaches that true allowing is an art of peaceful surrender, a quiet knowing that what is yours cannot miss you. The difference between demanding and allowing lies in the subtle space of trust. When you demand, you emanate a frequency of lack. When you allow, you rest in the frequency of completion. One pushes away, the other draws near. One creates tension, the other creates magnetism. Look to nature for wisdom in this practice. The flower does not demand the sun's attention, yet light finds it. The river does not demand the ocean's acceptance, yet they meet. In the same way, your manifestations seek you through the channel of your peaceful certainty. The practice. When impatience strikes, exhale slowly and silently state, I allow all that is mine to come in perfect rhythm. Chapter 29. The Law of Reflection. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant once stood watching passers-by with suspicion in her eyes. Each glance from a stranger seemed filled with malice. Each whispered conversation surely plotted her downfall. Her stall, though filled with the finest silks in all the land, grew empty as customers sensed her unease and hurried past. Night after night, she fortified her defenses against imagined rivals, until her heart became as tightly guarded as her wares. Within you lies the same power that transformed this merchant's fate. The universe operates through an immutable law. What you perceive, you receive. Your world morphs to match your inner vision with unfailing precision. When you scan your environment for threats, the cosmos faithfully delivers experiences that validate your vigilance. Each fearful thought sends ripples through the fabric of creation, attracting circumstances that mirror your expectations. This is not punishment, but perfect response, the universe's dedication to showing you your own face in every encounter. Yet this same law holds the key to liberation. Just as a mirror reflects without judgment, reality reflects your inner state with pure fidelity. The moment you shift your perception, the reflection must change. Consider the tale of the desert wanderer who, exhausted and thirsty, encountered an oasis village. Convinced the inhabitants meant him harm, he saw mockery in their smiles and danger in their offered water. Only when fever broke his resistance did he accept their aid, discovering the enemies he feared were healers in disguise. Your reality operates by this same principle. Those you perceive as adversaries are messengers bearing gifts of self-knowledge. Every person who triggers reaction serves as a mirror, revealing aspects of consciousness ready for transformation. A merchant in a distant valley discovered this truth. Where once he saw competitors conspiring against him, he began to see teachers highlighting areas for growth. Each difficult interaction became an opportunity for blessing rather than battle. As his perception shifted, so too did his experience. Former rivals became allies, tensions dissolved into collaborations. The law remains constant. Your perception shapes the clay of creation. Choose to see through eyes of love and watch as the universe reshapes itself to reflect this new vision. Each blessed enemy becomes a bridge to greater understanding. Ancient practice. When judgment arises toward another, pause and touch your heart center. Silently intone, "Thank you for showing me myself." Let this acknowledgement dissolve the barrier between perceiver and perceived, transforming resistance into revelation. Practice this whenever triggered, watching as former foes become faithful mirrors of your own awakening consciousness. Chapter 30. The Final Secret. In a bustling marketplace, Elvira Kate Albright moved from stall to stall, purchasing scrolls of ancient wisdom and talismans promising hidden power. Her home overflowed with books of esoteric knowledge, yet something essential eluded her grasp. Each new teaching seemed to hint at a deeper secret just beyond reach. Night after night she pored over texts, certain the ultimate formula lay hidden between their lines. What Elvira failed to notice was how naturally she manifested small miracles throughout her days. The perfect parking space always awaited her arrival. Books containing exactly what she needed somehow fell from shelves into her path. Even strangers appeared at precise moments to offer guidance she sought. Yet she overlooked these synchronicities, too focused on finding the grand secret she believed she lacked. The truth is elegantly simple. Awareness itself is the completing force of creation. When you recognize that you're already practicing universal law in every moment, the search dissolves into knowing. Your breath, your heartbeat, your very existence demonstrate perfect alignment with cosmic forces. The law operates not through complex formulas, but through simple recognition of what already is. Clifford Neal. Barefoot discovered this truth one ordinary morning. After years of spiritual seeking, he sat in his garden and suddenly understood there was nothing to find, because nothing had ever been lost. In that moment, his searching melted into quiet acknowledgement of unity with all things. He stopped explaining spiritual principles to others and simply lived them, letting his peaceful presence speak volumes. The shift that occurred in Clifford's life was remarkable. Without effort or announcement, his reality arranged itself in harmonious patterns. Others noticed the change in him, a serene certainty that required no validation. He had stumbled upon the ultimate paradox. The end of seeking is the beginning of finding. This universe mirrors not your formulas, but your frequency. When you cease hunting for secrets and recognize your innate connection to cosmic law, that very awareness completes the circle of creation. The seeker and the sought are one, always have been, always will be. Sacred practice. Rest in stillness until the distinction between yourself and truth dissolves. Let searching fade into simple being. Remain in this quiet space where seeker and sought merge into one contented knowing. This is home. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The first law of the universe reveals itself only to those who can keep company with silence. Through your journey across these chapters, you have discovered that true power rarely announces itself. Like morning dew gathering unseen before dawn, the most potent forces work in quietude, shaping reality through subtle vibration rather than proclamation. Creation is not persuaded by noise. It responds to the vibration of knowing. What you have learned is not a rule but a rhythm, consciousness forming mirrors in matter. This rhythm flows through every particle of existence, orchestrating the dance between thought and manifestation, between inner vision and outer reality. Guard this rhythm tenderly. Your understanding of it is sacred trust between you and the infinite. Let your transformation speak louder than speech. When others notice the light in your eyes, the peace in your presence, let that be testament enough to the truth you carry. The universe will continue its quiet dialogue with you, teaching deeper secrets only to those who no longer need to tell them. Like a master musician who knows the power of the pause between notes, you now understand that silence is not empty. It is pregnant with potential, rich with unspoken wisdom. The mystery remains whole when held close, and you now hold it securely. Everything begins inside, and the inside prefers sacred hush. Your thoughts, carefully tended in privacy, become the seeds from which tomorrow's garden grows. In this sacred silence, you have found the key that unlocks all doors, the understanding that creation responds not to what is proclaimed, but to what is privately known with unwavering certainty.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.